Any small, minute detail that Alex has given me in this game, I'm trying to use these words against him.
I want him out next.
And then, you kind of throw some more dirt on it and just put extra details that never happened.
I don't trust Alex, I don't trust him and I think he's playing the hardest.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Survivor Everything. I'm your host, Liam, and at least this season's getting a little bit interesting finally, even if the person who was just voted out wasn't my ideal option. I do wish I could stop hearing Uncle Jeff, but I'll get more into that later. With only so many episodes left, let's get into talking about Survivor 49, Episode 9.
It wouldn't be beneficial for me to strike at one of you,
Yeah.
We can work together.
He might think that he's in the clear, but I see your tricks, Alex. And this is not your game, this is mine.
Episode 9 starts with the most of the original Hina upset that Sophie S. was the one who survived the last vote and not MC, the player who egregiously played themselves out the game the previous round. Sophie S is easy to pick up on this too, and funny enough, Form Hina is actually criticizing Sophie S for being ignorant in the game, as they still think that Sophie has no clue what was supposed to happen and is still with the majority, when that is now far from the truth. Steven decides that with MC gone now, he needs to solidify his relationship with Sage, and only Sage, by letting her know about the hidden immunity idol that Christina found the other day, and tell Sage not to tell anyone else since only him and Alex should know about it. The whole reason why Steven decides to tell Sage about the idol is because he has faith and trust in his bottoms-up alliance with Sage and Jawan, and recognizes that Sage and Jawan both have a lot of social power when it comes to people wanting to work with them and being on the right side of the vote. But even with this analysis he makes about it being good to work with Sage and Jawan, especially since they're in a secret 3-person alliance, Steven still decides not to tell any of this to Jawan, which just baffles me. If any of this gets back to Jawan, and he realizes that he was the last to be told, and it's because of Steven, and in proxy, now Sage, Jawan could be more compelled to think that they don't trust him and leave this alliance. If Steven's going to give up this info, there's no strategic reason not to let both your closest allies know, especially when the three of you need as much info as possible to secretly control the game and who leaves it. Alex also starts to play too hard here, trying to play both sides too openly instead of just using the former Hinas to control the game and then backstab them later. I was praising Alex last episode for being ready to cut Christina and Sophie S from this game, and being thoughtful about why and how. This episode, though, he tries to appeal too much to Rizzo and Savannah as well, and it sets off alarm bells for Rizzo that Alex isn't trying to align with them. He is trying to play both sides so he can later betray Rizzo, without Alex ever being a suspicion to anybody, and Rizzo's not having it. Rizzo is now starting to control the next vote as he did the last, targeting a specific player in Alex and going on a smear campaign to start giving other players to target them as well.
Steven confided in me that Christina has the idol, but as much as I want to tell Jawan about the idol, I cannot risk blowing up my spot with Steven because I really need to have as many people who have my back as far as we can go into this game.
The reward challenge is a team-based challenge, with the team needing to move a giant metal cube and climb it to retrieve sandbags, in order to get access to some rings that will need to be ring-tossed onto a pole. First team to complete the challenge wins a Southern-style dinner, and Jeff specifically asked Jawan about how he feels about this reward, since Jawan hasn't participated in any food rewards the entire game. There's a whole deleted schoolyard pick scene, where Jawan is picked by Rizzo due to the fact that Rizzo feels like he can win this, and that means that he can feed Jawan as well. Sophie B and Savannah are also the last two left to be chosen, with Savannah being picked, forcing Sophie B to set out the challenge. Sophie B and Savannah are clearly on the outs right now, and based on Savannah's last immunity win, you'd think a team would want to choose her as an earlier pick, especially with the challenge weaklings like Christina being chosen before her. But it's because they clearly don't want to break bread with those two and eat with Savannah or Sophie, and they want Savannah gone specifically and don't care to work or even socialize with her. This scene was cut though, but I think that it could have been left in. This reward challenge, though, is pretty standard stuff, with the yellow team of Rizzo, Jawan, and Steven and Sage losing by the end, even with Rizzo's confidence beforehand, and Sophie B wagers on them to win before the challenge, so Sophie B is part of that losing group as well. This might be off to say after seeing Kelly lose the first 3 immunity challenges this season, but Alex is surprisingly good at team-based challenges, and we see that during all of his post-swap challenges in the pre-merge and these team-based reward challenges in the post-merge. Christina, though a part of the winning team, wants to give up her spot in the reward to Jawan and feed him, and after some hemming and hawing, Jawan accepts the switch and goes on to his first reward of the season. Of course, just to make the scene a bit unbearable though, Christina and Jawan have to keep calling Jeff Uncle Jeff throughout the entire scene, and I just watched that clip from that podcast that Tyson did the other day with some other former players as well, and this was a topic discussion for them. I like when Jeff has nicknames. I like hearing him called Propes, or Mr. Jeff, or even when Courtney called him Jeffrey in Heroes vs. Villains. But when I hear Uncle Jeff, I cringe a bit. And it's just like someone just wrote down bye bye Denver Diva, and I just want to be like, alright guys, enough with the nicknames.
Uncle Jay?
What's up, Christina?
Can I trade with Jawan? Is that an option?
No. It's okay.
I would, if you let it, I want to trade with him.
On the food reward, We get a confessional from Juwan right away, as he really becomes the main character and focus of this scene. He talks about being refilled, energized, and feels happy that he is at this reward because people like him so much that they're willing to give up food for him, and everyone at the reward seems happy that he is there. And you can just tell that this is all accumulating just to warming Juwan's heart and make him feel very accepted right now. We even get a sob story from Juwan with photos to back it up, a staple for winners edits not too long ago. Juwan seems like he should be in my third spot for the winner ranking, but there is something about his entire edit that seems worse than Sage's entire edit, even with people giving up reward spots for him. An example of this is Steven, who isn't telling Juwan valuable info that he should know, but he is telling it to Sage. On this reward, Sophie S becomes extremely vocal about her feelings towards Olhina and Christina specifically, and how it is clear that they were shocked to still see Sophie in the game, and how Savannah notices this as well, with both now Savannah and Rizzo pulling in Sophie S as part of their voting block.
I feel like your boy is the king shark out here. When I look around at my next targets, I kind of hear the Jaws music a little bit. And oh man, I'm ready to tear this game up.
Back at camp, we are getting character content from Steven, where everyone is upset since they wanted that fried chicken reward, but Steven is having a bit of chicken guilt, as he says, with him also having nightmares due to a single chicken he killed during the pre-merge. Now, I was laughing during the scene that Steven and Alex killed the chicken, because they consider themselves manly for doing it, even though they weren't being traditionally masculine as they did it, or with their reactions doing it afterwards. But now Steven has chicken guilt and feels even bad about it, which is just even funnier. I get it if it was Mark the chicken. You can't kill what is essentially a pet. But even I lived on a chicken farm at one point, and those things were not friendly. I did not like them, and I just saw them as the livestock that they were. Alex at least killed 2 chickens, so I won't criticize him too much, but especially having chicken nightmares is a wild thing from Steven. This scene, though, is solely to focus on the character of Steven, and he has been the main yellow player with the most amount of screen time since the pre-merge of the game. We followed Steven in his secret alliance with MC, then swapping, and it was him and Alex and Sage getting along, forming a relationship, and then the formation of the Bottoms Up Alliance in the next swap. And he was the target for the merge vote, getting him lots of content there. At the start of last episode, we hear from Steven about how Rizzo and Savannah are on the bottom, and Savannah confides her sob story to him. Steven is even asked by Alex to go idol hunting, and Christina says that she would use the idol to save Steven if needed. Steven is definitely the most focused player from the original Hina. And if the majority consists of Juwan and lots of the former Hinas, Steven could just win at the end of the game just from their votes. Sage approaches Christina about getting out Savannah or Rizzo this round, while they still have a clear majority 6, when it's really a majority 5 now with Sophie S defecting, but they want to split the vote and flush out Rizzo and get rid of Savannah. Christina, in a trash game move, goes to Sophie B, a player she missed that she can't fully trust, but for some reason thinks she's going to be able to use her and manipulate her, and Christina tells Sophie about the plan to flush the idol and get rid of Savannah, who is Sophie B's closest ally. Sophie B obviously just tells her she's going to relay this info, because the fact that all 3, Savannah, Sophie B, and Rizzo, each have an advantage idol, it makes them a very powerful trio that shouldn't be broken up yet. Savannah and Sophie B get together, and Savannah tells Sophie B her sob story again, and even lets Sophie be the only player who knows that Savannah is secretly a reporter, which garners no real reaction from Sophie, as it would no one else. They also agree that it should be them and Rizzo at the end, and they will do whatever they need to get there. We then see Sophie B, Rizzo, Savannah, and Sophie S starting to strategize together, with Sophie S now being stuck in the minority group, changing it from a 3 to 4 person alliance versus a 5-person majority. And a couple's quarrel here. We see Savannah and Rizzo debating if it should be Sage who goes home, like Savannah wants, or Alex, who is Rizzo's target. Savannah doesn't trust Sage or Juwan and wants them gone before they can strike her. But Rizzo proved last episode he knows how to run a vote, and he starts the same process again here. He goes up to Sophie S, Sage, and Juwan individually, and warns them all about Alex's middleman gameplay, and even lies about Alex targeting them. In a montage, we see 3 different players start to flip onto voting out Alex, a member of their majority.
Rizzo has the idol, Savannah has an extra vote, and I have the knowledge is power advantage. So right now, even though it seems like we're the 3 at the bottom, we actually have the most power of anybody in this.
At the immunity challenge, players need to compete in an endurance challenge, where it forces them to put their feet up against a disc that they can't drop to the ground, and the last man and the last woman left standing in their challenge win individual immunity. I complained in an earlier episode review about how these players are boring during these challenges, and we get no talking or character reactions out of them. I even compared it to Christian Ubicki, and here, we get a Christian Ubicki type moment as Steven, who might not be a robotic scientist, but is a rocket scientist, starts to go off about his knowledge of outer space, with a montage of him talking about it. Not like Christian, who seems to go on for hours and hours about it. After about 8 minutes, Jeff basically tells Steven to shut the hell up and proceed with the challenge. This is a horrible decision by Jeff as a host, since these are the moments that are remembered and elevate these repetitive challenges. The players are what make great TV, and these players have been a bit dull all season, and then we finally get a challenge character moment, and Jeff shuts it down. Imagine Jeff telling players from Survivor 46 to shut up when they were trying to play that Alphabet City game during an endurance challenge, or telling David to stop flexing his muscles during the individual challenge he won in Survivor 48. These are the moments that us fans want to see, not Uncle Jeff being upset that he wants these players to drop out as soon as possible, and Steven is preventing that since all these players are saying that Steven's talking is helping them stay focused. I said earlier that Alex seems really good at only team-based challenges, and I'm starting to feel the same way about Rizzo, who barely does this endurance challenge before being the first person to drop out. The way Rizzo does look at Jeff, though, and smirks about his clear failure here is pretty amusing. Like always this season, though, especially since Jeff won't let these guys have any character moments, the challenge is pretty standard fare, with Steven winning immunity out of the men and Savannah winning immunity for a second time in a row out of the women. I will admit that near the end of the challenge and after the challenge, sassy Savannah comes out to play, as she taunted Sophie S about not dropping out during the challenge, and then taunts the whole majority 5 as Savannah can't be the target for the vote as they had originally planned. This is why Savannah is a good villain for the season, because she will always wear her emotions on her sleeves at points, making her a good character even if it's not always the best gameplay.
The whole time up there, like, I'm just thinking like 1 in 8 shot, 1 in 8 shot, 1 in 8 shot, like on repeat. Like, I feel like if I dropped, my name's getting written down, so it's not gonna get written down tonight.
It is not.
Back at camp, with Savannah winning, Christine and Steven change the target to Rizzo, and hopefully he continues to not play his idol as he's been doing, and if he does, Sophie B will be the backup plan. The problem here is that the two of them are forming this plan with Sophie S, and Sophie S has deferred from them, and is relaying all of this to Rizzo. Even better for the minority group here is that not only has Sophie S jumped ship, but Rizzo has gotten Juwan and Sage paranoid about Alex, and making them lean towards voting him out instead. Alex hears from Juwan that he is being targeted by Rizzo, and tries to convince the majority that he is still with them and not flip-flopping, but Juwan and Sage just don't buy it. And as they both make it clear, they're dictating this is a split vote or a majority one, and they are the two with the power here to decide that.
This vote tonight is about who's the bigger threat for my game. Is it Alex? He's causing so much chaos. Or is it Rizzo with his idol? This man can't be trusted. These guys both need to go.
At Tribal Council, we see that Savannah is continuing to be very cocky, and gloats about her win and forcing people to have to change their plans and the people that they're working with. This brings big smiles to people within Savannah's alliance, but we don't see Christina and Sage too impressed by Savannah's arrogance. We also get another Steven and Jeff moment when Steven offers Jeff a space or a kangaroo analogy, and Jeff chooses the latter, when Steven only had a space analogy to give. It's a pretty decent analogy actually, especially in a show that loves to have them to the point of annoyance, but the interaction makes it a bit awkward, but also made it really funny. The vote comes out as 6-2 to 1 vote, with Rizzo receiving 1, Sophie B receiving 2, and Alex receiving the majority, sending him out the game. And he does take it in stride, knowing it's his own fault. MC should take notes.
It's all right.
Love you, Alex.
Good game, Alex.
No, I had a feeling, guys. This is what I get for playing both sides.
At least you knew it.
I love that, bro. You guys all talk? What is this?
I will say that I was a bit upset to see Alex go in this initial watch, as the show had built him up to be a bigger player in the pre-merge with the amount of confessionals he got in his first tribe. And I do realize most of them were due to a losing streak and finding the idol, but the last episode that Alex was in was getting him set up to be a mini villain who is going to be voted out, but not this soon. I was hoping from the fact that I think with production, they have 2 editing teams. One for the odd number seasons, one for the even number seasons. Now, I could be wrong about that. That's just what I thought I heard before. But even if it's the same team, which would make my upcoming point even more damning, is that I thought after the lackluster storytelling and lopsided edit we got in Survivor 48, that this season would course correct it in the edit. I've said this too, that it seems that this season that production is listening to fans when it comes to the structure of the show, which is really good. And it's the cast that's been failing this season so far, but now I think I need to add the editors to that group because they aren't helping much either. All they did was focus on Alex pre-swap, ignored him for the rest of the show, and only set him up last episode as a potential villain just to explain why he leaves the next round. But we have seen this lopsided edit that either ignores the player, then focuses on them in the post-merge, or focuses on them in the pre-merge and started to ignore them, and this has happened to almost every single player that's been left on this season except for Savannah and Rizzo, and potentially Sophie B. Sophie S got a 0 professional episode in the pre-merge, and Christina got 2 0 professional episodes in the pre-merge, and as well as the show ignoring Alex and barely focusing on most of the original Hina tribe in general. Then the post-merge, Sophie B is ignored, and then Sophie S comes out of the woodworks out of nowhere, with no proper setup. Christina's even getting more focused now, but it's mainly due to her idol and how she is making herself a clear target at this point, and that's it. The editors need to do a better job with these lopsided edits, as this was a positive change that they had made in the new era, and now they're regressing back to only focusing on boring people when they're about to go, like the show in its infancy. My top 3 to win, starting off with Sage. I was saying earlier how maybe this spot could be taken by Juwan, but Sage is clearly more liked than him, and people trust her on a personal level more. Sophie B is closer to Sage than Juwan, as well as Christina and Steven, with the amount of times we see them talking to Sage about plans and strategies one-on-one that they don't do with Juwan. I think the show really likes Juwan, so he's getting a bit more of a favorable content than Sage, but I think if people had to cut Juwan or Sage, it would be Juwan, and we even saw this with Sophie S in the previous round. Sage has been on the right side of the vote at every tribal she's attended, and she continues to cement herself in this power position between either group where people just want to work with her instead of targeting her. The only issue is that she has been on the right side 4 times in a row, but the last 2 she didn't dictate. Rizzo did, which makes him more impressive than Sage at the moment. So bringing that up, in second place is Rizzo. This guy is very strategically aware. He's very savvy at directing votes and influencing people's decisions. Every time Rizzo talks, he does what you're supposed to do and most fail at, which is convincing people why the move that you want helps their game, while secretly knowing that it helps your own game the most. This is why people feel good about going along with the plans, since they believe that they're using Rizzo for the best outcome when it's really the other way around. Rizzo is becoming a powerhouse in the game, and he's a powerhouse on the screen, making him very entertaining to watch as well. Rizzo is even the strategic leader of his trio alliance, and I feel like he'll be the one to advise his allies on when they should play their advantages and idols when it's the correct time. But one of those allies is Savannah, and if the final 3 of Sophie B, Rizzo, and Savannah comes true, Savannah seems like she'll win. Now there is a big argument against this, as MC has called Savannah scary, and Christina along with Sage called Savannah a mean girl in this episode, and it's not the first time for Sage either. This is a world where these 3 don't vote for Savannah at the end, and it only takes 1 or 2 more votes and she loses the game to one of her allies that she went to the end with. Savannah, though, has the best editor of all 3 of these players, with the show focusing on her as someone who everyone fears, and Savannah has an easy chance to impress the jury with correct advantage play, as well as her ability to win immunities. And she'll probably win even more. Savannah has more game to go, and she keeps reminding us that she can speak well in front of a camera, or in this case a jury, and that could be setting up for an all-time great final tribal performance from Savannah that wins her the game. This season is starting to get good, and at least there's stuff to talk about the last 3 episodes, but again, most of the characters are dull, or it's hard to want to like them due to us not seeing them for large chunks of time, forcing us to enjoy Savannah and Rizzo the most, which to be fair, they are some of the best players and characters from this season, but it's still a lopsided edit. The show needs to be stepping up in its storytelling, since it basically has been very compelling for almost 2 seasons now. I love Survivor, but I would love it even more if production editors could put a bit more effort into their multi-million-dollar show. Everyone grab your torches, I'll see you in the next one.